If you sell raw horse meat at your part-time job, then that would mean that you're selling basashi at your basaki, because basaki is a current Japanese slang term for the place that you have a part-time job. So in Japanese, the word for part-time job is arubaito, which comes from the German verb to work, which is arbeit. And saki in Japanese has a lot of meanings, but one of them is like place, so a place of employment. Can use this kanji, and so in arubaito saki can be like the place where you do your arubaito, versus I guess the fuzzy concept of an arubaito that exists when saki isn't applied. Anyway, so basaki is just a shortening of this. But if you're like, that's kind of weird that the ba and the saki, why not like asaki? Well, the reason that that didn't happen is that arubaito has already for a very, very long time been shortened just to baito. So I guess if we're speaking strictly, this is a shortening of baito saki rather than arubaito saki. But you know, it's like Pokemon evolutions. This is the second stage. And therefore we'll likely not see any competitive play. Anyway, baito saki is a very Naui term because it's seeing use in mainstream media, and I guess it's seeing more and more popularity, as you can see in this Google Trends chart. However, as we can also see in that Google Trends chart, it's not new, it's just new to the people that run news networks and have cameras. But it has been noticed by semi-mainstream internet stuff before that, as the Wiktionary entry on it dates back to 2022. And when I was looking for more data, I found out that Yahoo Chiebukuro is now automating Claude answers in their data, and the Claude answer that they gave to this person's question about basaki states that the word has existed since the late 2000s, with a particular explosion around 2010. Now, I cannot find a single use of basaki anywhere before 2010, but I absolutely can find uses in 2010, including people who are kind enough to help us in the future be sure that what we're looking at is the same thing we're talking about now, because they're defining basaki as, you know, their arubaito saki in the tweet. Indeed, I'm hesitant to believe the Claude explanation here because I've seen arguments like this one online that actually basaki is an invention of the internet and websites like Twitter because while it does save you breath, more importantly, it saves you 2 characters. And so the idea that it appeared before character limiting social media seems a bit less likely, especially since there's no evidence. As for why basaki has taken off in 2025 though, there doesn't really seem to be a reason. I searched and I couldn't find a viral tweet that was using it. So it just seems to be a gradual segmentation or growth in the use of this word. And that's probably helped by the fact that there are actually variants of basaki that also have seen use for at least a decade and are now seeing more and more use. One is baowa, which means that your part-time job is done. So you can go home or do something else, like subscribe to this channel and watch my videos. Anyway, this use of owa after something itself is also not new because there are terms like shigo owa, which is like my job is over, my non-part-time job, and both gakko owa and ko-owa, which derive from it, refer to school being over. And as these two terms are pretty old, it's not surprising that baowa appeared at least by 2011, so about a year or so after the first data I find for basaki itself. A more confusing term is this one here, which actually is supposedly read as bamu, in the idea that you are mukaing, going to your basaki. I was able to find uses of this one dating back to 2012, although bizarrely, it's like 99% one person. Like, no joke. This is basically one of the only people that year that was doing it, and they were using it a lot. I guess they like telling the internet that they were going to their job, though nobody liked the fact that they were doing that. But from what I can tell, it was about 2015, 2016 when bamu, I guess some people probably read it as bako, but who knows, became something that like lots of people were using online. I should note though that unlike the other terms, this is generally just kind of like slapped to the end of the sentence rather than kind of used within a sentence. Again, at least just from what I can tell from a few glances. And then finally we have this, which some websites assert can be read as baiya or baken. I couldn't find anyone online discussing how to read it except for this person who does provide the baken reading, so at least one person does pronounce it that way. But for me, I think baiya is more likely, and at least for me, it flows off the tongue a bit more easily. But regardless how you read it, it's real, so if your job is too awful, you could say it's baiya sugiru. Indeed, the baiya sugi is a very, very common construction online, and this dates to at least 2012, with the person there putting yas at the end maybe indicating that they did think that it was baiya, so perhaps people have been debating how to read it since the word existed. Although just to be extremely thorough, I also found in 2012 uses like this, which I think in context mean I hate this version, right? Bahajon, which would again be baiya. I think this is pretty idiosyncratic. I didn't see a lot of people using this, and I imagine it's pretty dead now since baiya and all these other ba words have kind of taken the spotlight, but it existed at one point in time. And now I am baowa, is what I would say if I was not actually in a full-time job. And so now I am shigo-owa, is what I would say if this was actually my job and not just a thing that I do.